If you asked anybody what the best snowboarding game in the early 2000s was, it would be SSX. It stood out against the rest of the competition like Amped or 1080 Avalanche in that you can pull off a multitude of mind-bending tricks. You want to do breakdances on your snowboard? SSX has you covered. You want to ride your snowboard like a mechanical bull? SSX has got you covered. You want to do whatever the hell this is? SSX has got you covered. And it's funny, the series primarily started as a racing game that incentivized you doing tricks so you can go faster. But as soon as the second game came out, SSX Tricky, the game pulled all the stops to make you want to do tricks. You could go down the mountain as fast as you can, but that's no fun. Might as well go off a massive jump and break your skull with your own board. It wasn't mandatory to do tricks, but that's what made the game more fun. But what if we removed all of that? What if we could play SSX Tricky without doing any tricks? Pretty much the whole core of the game. You wouldn't even want to think about it. The game makes you want to do tricks, with Run DMC constantly playing as you fill up your boost bar. There's no way you could play this game without doing tricks. Well, that's what I want to find out. Can you beat SSX Tricky, or at least get bronze medal in every event in World Circuit mode, without tricks? Well, let's see. First off, we need to select our character. Right off the bat, we only have 4 riders to choose from: Eddie, Elise, Moby, and Mac. Ideally, we would want somebody that has a good speed stat and has a freestyle board over an alpine or a bordercross board, just so they don't catch onto rails easily. But ultimately, character choice doesn't matter, and you'll soon see why. So I'm just gonna pick Eddie and move on with my life. Now let's start off by doing all the race events. Don't worry, I'll get to you later. Our first course is Garibaldi. When you're going down the main track, there's really no rails or anything we have to worry about. We could just go down the whole course as intended, not doing any jumps and focusing on what's ahead. There will be times throughout this challenge when we do get a big air bonus if we stare in the air for too long. And even though it does give us a little point bonus, it doesn't count as us doing a trick. There's no yellow text at the bottom indicating that we did a trick, so we're good. The only thing we should worry about is how we maneuver our board in the air. If we tweak our board too much to the left or right, the game will recognize it as us trying to do a 180 spin, even though we didn't fully rotate the 180 degrees. But this level is really easy when we only focus on staying on course and not doing anything fancy. Literally, just playing the game normally without jumping should easily get you first place. You don't need to take any shortcuts, just play normally for 3 heats and you could get a medal without even trying. Next we have Snow Dream, a pretty short and easy track. Again, you can go through the track normally here without worrying about rails. You just carve and that's it. You can take a shortcut here and there as long as you're careful with how you adjust your board in the air. Finish all heats at least in 3rd place and the medal is yours. Elysium Alps is a slightly different story. This is one of the longest tracks in the game and it does have some rails that you can easily latch onto. The first half of the track is pretty simple. You can ride normally up until the 2nd checkpoint of the track. You can also take the scary shortcut just after the 1st checkpoint if you want to get a small advantage against the computer players. It's when you get to the long icy section that'll trip you up. The path is full of these random drops that'll make you want to overadjust your board in mid-air so you can control yourself when you land on the ground. But you might accidentally do a 180 in the process, so it's not safe to take the normal route. Instead, you can take the red out of bounds section prior and avoid the one tree that's grindable. This will take you to some huge jumps over the icy section. You can also jump from the icy section to this shortcut if you just jump right after the first grindable tree. Once you do a few of these jumps, you'll eventually get to a gap where there's 2 grindable trees that's impossible to clear if you don't have enough speed. Instead of trying to clear the gap, you can jump to the right of it and land right beside the icy section. You still want a little bit of speed though, because there are grindable trees right below you. After you clear the icy section, you can just get to the finish no problem. You can ride the track normally or take shortcuts. It doesn't matter as long as you take your time in the icy halfpipe, jumping over the glass frames. You're pretty much home free after that. Just finish the race 3 times and you should get another medal. Mesa Blanca should be much easier. It's a shorter track and has a ton of shortcuts. The start of the track is pretty straightforward and easy to avoid rails. And if you want, you can jump to the left side of the track just before the first checkpoint to have a little breathing room against the competition. From there, you can keep following the track normally. But right after you cross the rickety bridge, instead of jumping the huge icy gap, you should drop down to it since it's a lot faster. Then you can just ride along the rest of the track normally. But you almost definitely want to have enough speed for the jump near the end. There are rails just waiting for you to grind them, so to avoid them, you simply want to jump to the right side with that speed. If you somehow fall into the water or fail to make the gap, the game will put you right on top of the rails as a little screw you for trying to play it safe. Trust me, that feeling is the worst. But that's the only real obstacle you want to watch out for. Everything else is pretty easy to avoid just for you to get another medal. Mercury City Meltdown is also simple. All you want to do is go through the whole track without any shortcuts at all, and you'll still get in first place. The CPU riders would want to take the big jumps and do tricks anyways. You can take a few shortcuts that don't have any rails too, like going down this hill that leads to the trash can bowling alley. I still can't get a strike. But really, you don't have to do anything fancy. Just go down the track normally, follow any of the branching paths carefully, and Mercury City's medals should be done in 3 quick attempts. The same can't be said for Tokyo Megaplex. This track tries its absolute hardest to make you want to do a trick, with all the jump pads on the floor, floating pipelines, and rails that are so tempting to latch onto. Plus, you have to do 3 laps just to finish 1 race heat. It's really easy to mess up going down this track. So here's the best route to avoid absolutely any possibility of tricking. When you go into the big air vent, you have a couple of options when you get out. The first option would be to immediately drop down to the lower section. This is the safest and slowest route, but it also increases the odds of doing a 180 with how curvy the layout is. The other option is to take any of the floating pipes and drop out as soon as you think it's getting too hard to stay on. This is the faster way, but you're also prone to landing on grinds in midair. It's up to you whether or not you want to stay in the air or carve the powder with punching bags. Then you get to the icy section where it takes you to the small dome. Avoid this dome. Inside it, there's a rail that's just too tempting to take. You can avoid it by going to the right of the rail, but you still run the risk of grinding the barrier. The best option is to just completely avoid this dome. The rest of the track is manageable. You can open any of these gates, go through the little pinball section, then do another 2 laps to finish the race. Do this for 2 more heats and you get another medal. But that's seriously easier said than done. Then we have Aloha Ice Jam, the shortest track in the circuit. This track has a lot of curves that'll make you want to adjust in midair and accidentally do a 180. Some key areas to pay attention to are these 2 chasm jumps. There are rails that are just inviting you to do a jib or 2, so try to jump on the leftmost side to completely avoid them. From there, you could either ride the course normally or take the penguin shortcut to get a bit of an advantage. From there, you'll get to a point where you can take the tiki shortcut or go along the course normally. You can take the tiki shortcut, but you run the risk of getting stuck on one of the pipes, not having enough speed for the jumps, or accidentally doing a 180. So going through this section normally would be a lot better. Then you'll come across another chasm with rails in between them. Again, you want to jump to the leftmost side to not only skip past the rails, but also take the shortcut. This takes you to the end without any huge curves or jumps. Then once you get past these rails and exit the tunnel, you'd have gone through Aloha Ice Jam. Just do that 2 more times and take home a medal. The last stop on the race circuit is Alaska. This final track is full of icy sections, big jumps, and huge chasms. It's really difficult to navigate through normally, but it's also almost free of rails. So the only thing you have to worry about is riding normally and accidentally doing a 180. You can take your time with this one too. The only shortcuts you'd want to take would be going through some of these icicles in the first cave, and staying on the rightmost side to go past the curvy section. Also, when you're coming up to the final big jump of the course, you'd want to bail just before you hit it. That way, the vent will push you upwards, forcing you to take the bottom route, avoiding the rails on the top that are hard to avoid. Other than that, just watch out for accidental 180s and Alaska isn't so bad. Definitely not the hardest level in this challenge. Repeat this race 2 more times and you get your final medal of the race events, meaning we should be halfway done with the circuit mode. Now we just need to do the other half, which are the tricking events. Alright, well, video's over. That's it. Thanks for watching. Okay, wait, we can still do something about this. The show-off events heavily rely on us doing tricks to get points, even though we can't do any tricks at all. But we can get big air bonuses. Each big air bonus is at least 1,000 points, and Garibaldi has a lot of big jumps. Plus, we only need to get bronze to advance to the next venue, so we don't need a lot of points. All we have to do is get at least 25,000 points, and it should be good. Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, so there aren't a lot of opportunities for big air than I thought. There's only room for like 10 big air bonuses. And you can't have a big air bonus, grab a multiplier, and think it's gonna give you more points, because that's not the case. So if you want to use the multipliers in the air, then you have to do tricks. So that's where the challenge should end. The race events can be done without doing tricks, but not the show-off events. But at the same time, I don't want to end it here. We have to take a few liberties. So you know how you can do an accidental 180 if you over-rotate your board? Well, what if you over-rotate your board, but rotate back to your original stance? Then it won't count as a trick. we'll be able to get the same amount of points, but it's not going to say that it is a trick. So we can use this method for utilizing the multiplier. And if we do this for almost every jump that has a multiplier, or at least some of the jumps that we can reach, then we can eventually get 25,000 points for the bronze medal requirement. And even if you look at the post-event stats, you can see that we got a bronze medal and our best trick is blank. It's usually filled out with our best scoring trick, but since a trick didn't show up at the bottom of the screen throughout the run, then I say we're good. So we can move on. Snowdream can be a little trickier. But instead of jumping only when there's a big jump or a multiplier, we have to jump almost every opportunity we can get. So we have to be better at quickly over-rotating the board, then rotating back when there isn't a clear jump. And in some cases, we have to run the clock a little and stay in one place just to get points, making sure that 180 trick indicator doesn't show up at the bottom of the screen. But even if you feel like you didn't get enough points, there's a 5 times multiplier near the end of the track that you can get with enough boost. You should just barely get that 35,000 point requirement if you jump as many times as you can. So okay, that was tough, but Elysium Alps is a longer level, so maybe the next requirement can't be that bad. What is that? So okay, 75,000 points. That's a lot bigger than Snowdreams, but I think it's still doable. All I have to do is jump as many times as possible and do that fake 180 as many times as I can. Yeah, this is dumb. This has to be one of the worst show-off events to do without tricks. There's barely any time for you to get any points, and the multipliers are so scattered and need the perfect jump for you to even get them. But eventually, I had to figure out the perfect route for this. At the start, jump to the orange multiplier and avoid the rails. Then jump on the raised platform and get the 2 times multiplier with the big air bonus. Assuming you also did fake 180s along the way, you should have 10,000 points by the first checkpoint. Then jump to get this multiplier right after the checkpoint. Then go up to the shortcut on the right and try to grab this multiplier without grinding. Keep doing these fake 180s and you should be around 20,000 points by the second checkpoint. Then you want to hit this jump for the 2 times multiplier and then immediately get the 5 times multiplier right after. If you don't get this 5 times multiplier, then you should just restart the event. It is absolutely crucial. Then you want to take the red shortcuts while still doing the fake 180s. Get the 3 2 times multipliers along the shortcut. Then on the 4th cliff, jump to the side to grab the 2 times multiplier. Carefully navigate through the icy section and get to the next checkpoint with around 40,000 points. Then you want to jump off the 3rd checkpoint to get the 3 times multiplier. Head to the red shortcut ahead and make the jump towards the 5 times multiplier. As soon as you land, press the respawn button to go back on track so you don't actually take the shortcut. Then keep doing fake 180s along this path and jump towards the 3 times multiplier over the billboard. You should be by the half pipe with a bunch of multipliers. Don't fall for it and just keep going. If you do take the half pipe, you're not going to get enough speed for the 5 times multipliers, and the big air bonuses aren't going to be worth it as opposed to just doing quick 180s. So it's better to just skip this part and do fake 180s through the half pipe. Keep doing fake 180s until you get to this section right after the icy loop. You want to keep going back and forth, doing fake 180s until you get 75,000 points. And luckily for me, I was able to do that just before the time ran out. This path is the best path to take when you're doing this challenge, but you pretty much need perfect execution. You should be able to get bronze just in time, assuming you do fake 180s as many times as you can. So that was super stressful. We can finally leave Elysium Alps and head to an even shorter track. Hopefully the bronze requirement is shorter too. No. Okay, so there's no way to do this with just fake 180s. We barely got 75,000 points at the longest level in the game. There's no way we're getting that here. So the run's over. We can't do this with the fake 180s anymore. Thanks for watching again. But we have one last option. It's debatable whether to call this a trick or not, but we don't have any other choice. I'm gonna do it. There's a method of maximizing your trick score by doing a grab, quickly tweaking it, and then canceling that animation with the startup of another grab. Then cancel that grab by letting go just before your character grabs the board. The game will think that you're holding a tweaked version of your first grab, but when you land, you shouldn't see a trick name and you'll still get the score for that tweaked grab. You can also stack a bunch of these tweaked grabs for more points. It's a very quick motion and takes some time getting down. This only works for grabs that aren't linked to uber tricks. So when you have full boost, you can only do this method that isn't an indie grab or a mute grab or pretty much anything that becomes an uber trick. The only thing with this is that you can't combine a fake grab with a spin or a flip. In this case, the grab won't count, but it'll still count the spin or flip. But doing this fake grab alone will be a lot better than fake 180 spins. Each jump can be well over 1,000 points, making the 75,000 point requirement a lot easier to do. So taking into account how Mesa Blanca works and making sure you do these fake grabs as much as you can very easily get the bronze medal. Just do this fake grab anytime you get a good jump, and it's pretty simple from there. This method honestly makes the rest of the trickless challenge a cakewalk. Even with the next track, Mercury City Meltdown, you can almost get a silver medal if you really tried. There's multipliers everywhere, and even a half pipe where you can spend time getting longer grabs. Tokyo Megaplex is riddled with jump opportunities and 5x multipliers. Doing this fake tweaked grab while collecting a 5x multiplier, you can get 50,000 points in one jump. It's actually unfair. Aloha Ice Jam definitely made things difficult. I mean, I bailed multiple times trying to jump on extremely curvy sections, but I still managed to get the bronze medal requirement. Just jump as many times as you can, aim for the multipliers, then perform the fake tweaked grab. It's just not even a challenge anymore. Then there's Alaska with a 150,000 point requirement, but who cares? There's so many opportunities to jump and grab the multipliers. If you treat every little hill as a jump, then you can easily get so many points without even trying. There's also so many 3x and 5x multipliers that even this one jump will get you nearly 25,000 points. The bronze medal for Alaska might look intimidating, but with this fake grab method, you can beat it with so much time to spare. And with that, the entire world circuit is complete. So now we can answer the question: can you beat SSX Tricky without any tricks? Kind of. The race portion of the world circuit mode can be done without tricks. You just need to find your route and avoid rails at all costs. You don't even need to take shortcuts, since all the other riders will be too occupied taking these big jumps and doing tricks. So you don't even have to worry about that. But the show-off events do need a bit more of your attention. Since the big air bonuses aren't going to be enough, you'd have to do fake tricks like that fake 180 or the fake tweaked grab. Methods like that will make you think that you're doing a trick, but the game isn't gonna count it. The game even says here, the best trick is nothing. It doesn't say anything, so I didn't do a trick. Look, even when I did the tweaked grab glitch, Mesa Blanca said I didn't do a trick. Mercury City said I didn't do a trick. Aloha Ice Jam, or even Alaska. If you want to go there, Pipe Dream can also be done without doing any tricks. So yeah, the game can be completed without any tricks, but if you were to quit out of that event, you would see that run statistics, and it'll still say that you did tricks. The game still counted all of the fake tricks that you did, even though those tricks were nothing. All those fake tricks I performed didn't have a trick name, but were still counted as tricks. So can they still be treated as tricks? I know it's a really dumb thing to fixate on, but it'll really depend on how you define no tricks. If you think no tricks means that the game didn't tell you what trick you did while you're in game, then I feel like it counts. You aren't doing any of the tricks that are listed in the game. It's just that the game is telling you how many times you scored a set of points. But if you were to take away any source of tricking, that being the D-pad or any of the grab buttons, then this challenge wouldn't be possible at all. You'd only have to rely on the big air bonuses, and as we've seen, we can't get past the first level with them. You need to do either the fake 180s or the fake tweaked grabs to get any amount of points. If not, then the challenge ends with the race events. So please, let me know what you think. I personally think the World Circuit mode can be completed without tricks, because, you know, cope. If the game didn't tell me I did a trick in bright yellow text, then it's all good. But if you think that these fake grabs still count as tricks and I'm full of shit, then the game can't be completed without tricks. Only the race portion of the World Circuit mode can be done. But while you're debating that, I need to do one more thing. Oh my god, that feels so good.